Hello and good evening to everybody. It's looks like Belgium appears to be a popular pick on the mystery calendar. All I've seen is nothing but good vibes in the chat, other than Waze Kuba, who obviously is starting his 2-race ban this week, so he won't like that. But it is what it is. If you don't go AI, then you won't have to miss out on races. But anyway, welcome to Belgium, home of the Kia Series Championship 5 from Season 6, a race in which myself and Matt Lester lost the title just a few weeks ago. And speaking of Matt Lester, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. Thank you for that lovely reminder of the C5 last season. But we're not here to talk about that, so let's end that conversation right there. We're here for Cup Series.
Yes, well, it's nice that we have covered that race, and that will definitely do. As it happens, one last thing on that race. The man who is banned tonight obviously won that championship here. So anyway, there you go. That's all I have on it. You will see 19 cars on the grid. The changes to make you aware of are Mr. Rico is in, Ben Shaw is back, and Matt Shepherd has stuck himself in once again because Kyle Smith can't get his internet sorted out. So we are missing Waze, Kyle, and I think that's it. Oh, OKK is going to join us at some point as well. We hope. Fingers crossed. First car out with no Kyle Smith means it is Matt Shep. He is entitled to go out. But again, I think, Matt, we have this glitch again where we are a minute ahead of the drivers.
Yes.
And that's why we're seeing no action yet.
Yeah, no action yet, which is a bit of a shame. But as we can talk about Spa, what a great track this is, and what fantastic racing we're going to get from these amazing world-class Cup Series drivers.
Yes, this really is the best of the bunch. They are the best drivers in esports. I've said it many times. And I can hear an engine firing up. However, it is the engine of Ben Shaw, who is on an outlap. So I believe Matt Shepherd has missed the slot. And we will ride on board then with the returning champion, the champion from Season 8. So you speak of world-class drivers, and this is, on paper, number 1 at the moment. Ben Shaw, what do you remember from that famous night in Las Vegas, a race in which you raced in, actually?
I did. A very, very hectic race, but all the odds that were against him and came out on top. He was the king of Vegas, and he's here to do. This is his first race of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you say King of Vegas. He often refers to himself as the King of Portimao. 3 or 4 race wins around there, and then eventually gave up his crown to Gareth, who became the Princess of Portimao, and then most recently Arnaud last week, who is the Prince of Portimao. And the reason why Ben Shaw, our reigning champion, was not here is because of a friend was leaving or something in Liverpool, and he said he couldn't miss it. But I guess when you're the champion, you can do as you wish, and you can also run a gold-coloured livery, and that's exactly what he's doing this evening. So we will ride on board then with, and he'll like this, number 1. So we begin a lap here in Belgium. This is of course, the more modern pit straight. Some of you who are a lot older will remember that the original pit straight began here after La Source turn 1, but this is now nothing more than an acceleration zone for Eau Rouge and Radion, which currently stares down Ben Shaw. But you'd like to think he gets to the top safely, and he does, and they're straight into a lovely toe, which is going to take him all the way down the Camel Straight. Who is that he's just passed? Not sure, but they certainly gave him a little bit of a help. But this is turn 4 and 5. We had, I'll tell you what, me and you had a good battle through here, didn't we, in the Championship 5 race last season in the Kia Series, but obviously to no avail. And this corner, I don't know the names. of the corners, but this one, Ben finds the correct line and gets through there all right. I think this is no name, isn't it? Keep it valid, don't go too far over that white line, otherwise you'll hit the wall and invalidate. And then, is this the blancmange or something? Or Victoria Sponge Cake? I don't know what it's bloody called. But anyway, nice line again. Of course, Ben Shaw will be struggling with the track evolution. It looks good, but of course the faster drivers later on will come and probably go faster. This is where I spun out, by the way, but we don't talk about that. Obviously Ben Shaw going purple. Be careful on the exit there, because that curb can throw you into the inside wall or the outside wall. It's not fussy. And then this is full power all the way to the bus stop chicane then for Ben Shaw. He has kept it valid, and it does look good. Where will our reigning champion go? Obviously P1, but what sort of a benchmark will it be for the young man from Liverpool as he straightens the car up and crosses the line? It is a 1:43.3 to kick us off. I will let you talk to us about Peter Knighton.
Yes, another speed member of Peter Knighton, running a lovely livery, very speed-esque. I'm really hoping most of the speed guys haven't done what they did in Vegas in the C5 and just copy each other's liveries, because that was very boring.
So
no
boring.
one wants to see that on their screens. Just makes you feel sick, doesn't it? But it's Speed Knighton coming around. He's a solid driver. I think I had a ding dong with him in Portimao, and he came back. It could have been him. It could have been risky, but whoever it was, they came back and gave me a taste of my own medicine. So, but I wish him all the best in this lap, and he seems to be going quite well so far.
You'd like to hope so as well, wouldn't you? Don't forget, and we do forget, that this is the Season 1 champion. It's Peter Knighton, who I believe, if I remember correctly, won around here on that streak of 3 races in a row. Of course, that streak of 3 races in a row was the last time that he ever won in JACKOCAR, would you believe? That was 125 races ago. But Peter Knighton straightens the car up, just like Ben Shaw did, as you have to, in fact, and across the line he goes then, a 1:42.8. There is Track Evolution already doing its thing. We will move on to the only German in... No, he won't, because he's invalidated, so never mind. But I was going to bring up the point about Germans. Loads of them in Kia Series this season. Are we? That starts next week. Are we looking forward to that?
Yeah, I think we should maybe do a certain race where we go for some Brit liveries versus some German liveries. Just see what happens. Why not?
Absolutely. In the midst of all that German talk, Mr. Sullivan Lewis went P2, so we'll move swiftly on to Mr. Khalifa El Khalifa. 53 race starts in the Cup Series, and only last week did he have his 3rd retirement. Incredible return on investment from race starts to race finishes. The best multi-car driver in the league, multi-race driver in the league in terms of starts to DNFs. Nobody comes near the Season 3 champion. And how odd is it to have so many champions out so early? You are going to get a couple more later on. Kieran and... who else is a champion? That's it. Because there's no Jamie Wright. Definitely not Gareth, no.
Or Quinn.
However, Gareth will say that he is the league's best commentator for 3 or 4 seasons in a row now. I mean, I disagree.
Yeah, no one cares.
No,
let's be honest. Trophy. Khalifa comes up to the line, 141.9.
Yeah,
very nice
stuff. Good stuff for Khalifa. Who am I looking for? Danny Quinn. Here he is.
Danny Quinn.
The man. He's been to 5 Kia Series Championship 5s and lost them all. Do you have anything to add?
No, that statement enough provides great weight, and I'm so glad to be seeing them in Cup Series.
Yeah, likewise.
Do not want to see that car in Kia at all this season. But best of luck to you, Quinn.
He's good, but he's not bad enough to be in the Kia Series anymore.
No, pretty boring. But anyway, here he comes. We love you, Quinn. Maybe. 142.9. 1
Do you know
second
what?
off the pace.
Here's a stat for you. He's my favourite person with the surname Quinn.
Interesting.
Not my favourite person, but my favourite person who has the surname Quinn.
I can think of one other person with the surname Quinn, and they're a lot more exciting. But each to their own.
Okay. Who is the other one? Oh. Hold on. Say, just in case I'm wrong.
Harley.
Yeah, I was right. Okay. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Such a man.
No Michael O'Keke at the moment, who was meant to be out next, so we'll move swiftly on to the first of the Haselarger brothers. I have had the unfortunate pleasure of meeting them both, but this is what they would call a home track, because obviously the Cup Series doesn't go to the Netherlands because it's awful. So this is about as close as they get. It's only a 4 or 5 hour drive from where they live, just outside of Amsterdam. But here comes Leroy then into the final sector here at Spa. And Matt Lester, have you noticed that the sky has greyed over since we started?
I have indeed, yeah. We could see drivers struggling here to get up to that Khalifa time. We could even see a spot or two of rain. But Leroy is going to make the end of his lap without any of that. What time does the Dutchman do? It's 1:43, so everyone's struggling so far to get on Khalifa's terms.
Jamie Griffiths. Invalidated lap. But again, I will credit that car. The Mountain Dew car, as I call it, looks lovely. But we will move on to someone that we can beat. It's Rico Beckenkamp. Again, another Dutch driver. We're quite happy to race him in Kia because he often crashes out. Filling in today for Waze. Also running green. Not much more to say. Oh, no. Other than he's spun.
Yes. Well, that will be painful, but that is Rico in a nutshell, really. Oh, and there's the back end having a bit of a dance as well. So Rico's just going to trundle this to the start-finish line. Nice livery, though.
Indeed, but we'll move on from him because he's rubbish. Do you remember I was trying to think of the other champions? And I was like, oh no, that's it. There is one more. It's the two-time champion, Jake O'Sullivan. Let's go on board with Jake. And whilst he works his way around this magical track, I think you might be right. No one is going to get near that Khalifa time. It's going to take something special, especially with the way this sky is greying over. Arnaud, however, has won here before from last on the grid. And that's something he did 2 weeks in a row, of which Belgium was the second of those two races. It was also his last ever win until last week, and that was over a 2-year gap. 2 years and 2 months, in fact. And of course, the other thing with Arnaud is one more point for him puts him on to 1,000 career points. As for Jake, 3 more points tonight will put him into 900, which I believe puts him... well, it keeps him 5th all time, but he'll be only the 5th driver to ever make it to 900. What a tally that is as we come through this final complex of corners then on board with a 2-time champion who did not have a very good race last time out in Portugal. He was very fast but very unlucky at the same time. At one point was 19th, but over the line comes Jake O'Sullivan, and it's P2, the closest to Khalifa we have seen so far. Who's next? It's Ben Harrott. Here he is.
Ben Harrott is up next with his Thunderbird Buzz Lightyear. Thunderbird Buzz Lightyear livery. Sorry, I'm absolutely waffling. But yeah, Ben Harrott coming up to the line. Is he going to get anywhere near? No, he's not. It's second slowest so far.
So we will move on then to the Haselarger driver who has invalidated.
Honestly.
Are we interested in staying with him for the rest of the lap?
No. Move on.
From one Dutchman to another, Michel Goris, who last week finished P6, has already surpassed his total from last season after 16 races. So it took him 1 race this time around. But hopefully... Oh, there you go. I mean, that won't help, but hopefully he has a better season of it this time around, running that 34 car. But we're not interested. It is time for the Fast Five, and the first of those is Gareth Hall. Last week qualified P11, ended up making his way all the way to P5. Classic Gareth fashion, shit qualifying, really good race. And backing up his win from last season with a top 5 finish. Really good stuff from the fastest man in team speed. It is deliberated though who the fastest one is. Ben Shaw and Pete Knighton will argue they are faster because of their championships, as will Kieran. But it is true what Gareth says because he is the oldest. Your thoughts on that, Matt?
Not surprised. Shows it.
Yeah.
Just have a look at his picture. Follow JACKOCAR on Twitter or X, and you'll see it. It's not a nice picture.
So commanding as well. Gareth, a driver who puts fear into others. Although last week, I must admit, it was Waze putting fear into him with his AI taking over. But here is Gareth then into the bus stop. And what can he do tonight? Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, we have promised each other that there will be swearing. So do stay tuned as Gareth goes P7. That's actually a very good lap from him. And we'll move on to somebody that nobody likes. It is Kieran Spears. Don't worry, you don't have to say anything. But agreeing is the correct thing to do.
I will agree. I've raced this guy many a times before, and I don't think I've ever had any problems with him, but I'll agree. Dislike him.
Yeah. He was telling us earlier how, because of his disability, he can go on the mobility scheme to get a car, which will include his insurance, his tax and servicing, as well as the car itself, a brand new car. And he was looking at something very basic and crap because his taste is awful. So I'm glad we finished there. We are now on to Casper. I said this last week was the best livery. I'm still correct.
Okay. Have a look. No, that's pretty nice. It's sort of a Joker, incredible Hulk-esque, but with a twist. I quite like that. I was comparing this to Gareth Hall's. And Gareth Hall's nearly made me throw up in my mouth. So this isn't making me do that. This is quite the opposite. So I'd have to agree with you on this being the best livery so far for me.
Well, it's been a good start because you've agreed with everything I've said. That's what we like to hear. I have not paid Matt Lester to say these things. He's a man of taste, as is Casper Klein with this livery. Not been the most exciting qualifying session. Normally it really ramps up at this point, but like we said earlier, I think the weather has played a factor in this one. Khalifa getting out early doors has actually done him wonders, but maybe not, because Casper goes P1. What a lap that was. It didn't even look that good, did it?
No.
So now, what can Corey and what can Arnold do? We are going to see Corey first. Because they are following procedure. And why is he running red, I wonder? Of course, the big news today, Sir Lewis Hamilton is leaving Mercedes at the end of this season to go and join the boys in red in Maranello. P3 for Corey, which leaves us with Arnold de Grief, who, never mind folks, has invalidated. So that will conclude qualifying. Casper, Khalifa, Corey, Jake and Kieran, your top 5.
Yeah, fair play to Casper. Didn't expect anyone to get anywhere near Khalifa. So he's got the best livery, and he's got pole, so started off well here.
And that's his second playoff point of the season. And also, would you believe how fast Casper is? 70 starts in the Cup Series, and that's only his 4th pole position. You really would expect more from him. He has had a good return though. 19 podium finishes excluding his win, so 26 visits to the podium in those 70 races, 29 top 5s and 47 top 10s. 202 laps led and 668 points to date in his career, which puts him 10th all time when it comes to points. So Well done, Mr. Casper Klein. I'll let you give us a rundown then, Mr. Lester.
Yes, of course. So, Casper takes pole. Khalifa pits, although we thought he was. He's in second. Corey comes behind him. Then it is the catchman himself in fourth. Kieran in fifth, with Knighton behind him in sixth. Quinn, who's bad at F1, in seventh. Speed Risky in eighth. Leroy in ninth. Gareth rounding up the top 10 in that horrendous livery. Ben Shaw just outside top 10. Then comes Ben Harriet. Rico, the last of the guys, setting a time, which is shocking for Cup. Jamie, Yuri, Mike, Arnold, Michelle, and Matt Shep round out the rest of the grid. I didn't really notice that, but that's about 6-7 drivers there that have invalidated. I thought this was Cup, Jacko.
Yes. It's embarrassing, really, isn't it? This is the tier that I like to show off, and they do that to me. But it's fine.
Makes me sick.
One more year, and then it's not my problem.
It's not your league anymore.
It won't be anyone's league. The name dies with me, but hopefully someone will continue on the deed and run the format at least, because that's what people like. I wonder if anyone's going to tell us what the weather is. Not yet. By the way, there is no formation lap, so hopefully we can go straight into the race this week with no issues. But of course, we are relying on Matt Lester's ancient PlayStation 4. So who knows what might happen. Of course, the shit show that JACKOCAR is. Expect nothing less, but perhaps the unexpected. It's Spa, it's round 2 in Season 9 of the JACKOCAR Cup Series. The lights are out, and we are, for a change, underway as Casper will lead us down into Turn 1, followed by Corey, Khalifa on the outside. And I think it's Khalifa actually going slightly wide at Turn 1. Risky is out of this race. Will we get an early safety car? We get a VSC to begin this one here in Belgium, which gives us a second to catch up. Did you see anything further back, Matt Lester, or is it all fairly normal? I see Arnoud's made up one position but has no front wing.
It was
safety car.
Catchman taking a bit of... collected a few people, and Risky's out of it in one turn.
And of course, he failed to finish last week in Portugal, which is not the start to a season that Sullivan Lewis would have hoped for. But don't forget, he normally misses the first 2 or 3 races anyway, so his accumulative total of 0 is much the same as what it would be anyway on any other season. So we're not too worried about that, but I'm sure we'll hear from him and see what went down. Biggest loser there is Jake O'Sullivan. As you can see, 10 positions lost from the start. Our champion gained 1, and obviously Corey got the better of Khalifa on the start. The only 2 people to retain their positions were Casper and MK Bourne. So we'll now move this to the tyres before I get shouted at, because that's what people like to do. Jess Ball and Matt Rosamond. And it's about that time of day where we should say there are 2 jokers tonight. The first of them is Michel Goris, who is way down in P13, and the other one is 10 places above him, Khalifa El Khalifa. Stage points are lap 7 and lap 17, so we're going to get a very short sprint at the end. And, of course, you cannot pit on lap 1 and 2 behind a safety car.
No, you can't. And the safety car here is very long, very slow. So we're going to be sitting here for a little while waiting for action to resume. But we may see a couple of pitters at the back if there's been any damage. I'm not sure that I've seen any. Actually, I can see a missing end plate on Rico, but that's no surprise. We know what he's like. He's wrecked.
So here we go then.
Yuri's in there as well, and Cashman and Arnold.
Took the words out of my mouth. These are, down the bottom of the grid, non-mandatory stops that you are watching. And of course, lap 1 and 2 you can't pit. Lap 3 the safety car will come in, meaning you can't pit because you can't follow a safety car in. So your first pit stops will be lap 4, the first mandatory ones anyway. Me Don't forget you can do a stop under safety car and a green flag stop. Or you can do 2 green flag stops. But you have to do one before lap 17 and one after. They are the rules. And they're quite difficult. But you get used to them, don't you? I mean, Matt, you've been part of the league now. How do you find it? Or do you still get confused with some of the rules?
I still get a bit confused, to be fair. I mainly blame Harry because he's just annoying, useless. A lot of words I could describe that man as. So I'll blame any mistakes that I make on track on him. And yes, I am speaking about C5. But no, I enjoy the rules. I enjoy the rules here. It mixes it up. It gets everyone thinking on their toes, if you will, even though they're not on their toes. Yeah, it's fun. It's exciting. I enjoy it.
Definitely paid to say that one. Thank you very much. It'll be a sad day. It really will be a sad day in middle of December when JACKOCAR closes its doors to league racing. But it won't be closing its doors permanently. Of course, do stay tuned for that. We have some post-league racing plans to keep the name alive. I mean, I've never known a league that has brought such a community together quite like this one has. So there will be things to look out for in the future. The podcast will return and will continue in the same fashion when the drivers all have something to say about their experience in the leagues. But other than that, you're going to have to wait until December. But we do have 2 seasons to enjoy first. Technically 4 seasons if you include the trash that happens on a Tuesday night. Hopefully one of us, Matt, can win a title before it closes its doors. But the chances of that... I don't know if you've seen, actually, one of our new guys, Mr. Daniel Wilnut, or Dan Price, I should say. I know him as Dan Wilnut. He could be a real contender to win this in the Kia Series. Also, it's raining, by the way.
I know. I was going to say, it is raining. We're going to get messy here, Jack. Not for the first time.
Hey! I'll say no more.
Say no more. Yeah. Okay, I don't like that news that you've brought someone in that's potentially going to make me lose another C5, but it would be culture. It would be culture.
Sorry, I'm just confused. Arnaud has gone very early onto the Inters. Of course, the thing is, it's not a mandatory stop.
No.
So, maybe he's thinking because of the length of the track. Yeah. I mean, they're all going to have to pit, but obviously the other guys on dries, they're going to struggle, aren't they, if this rain falls a bit heavier. But hold that thought. I know what you're saying about bringing fast drivers into Kia. He's not that fast. I mean, he's fast, but you'll be able to keep up with him. But I'd like to think he'd be our number 1 seed going into the new season. But of course, JACKOCAR, you've got to learn the rules, and that's what's going to hold him back.
Yeah, and I have my secret weapon, Harry the Collier torpedo.
And
stay tuned.
What is your relationship with Harry? How do you know him? Sorry, I've never asked.
We used to work together, and then he left me. I was heartbroken, depressed, and then we reunited here at Kia Series.
Well, that's fantastic.
That's
JACKOCAR,
our love life.
Bringing people together ever since 2019. I can just about get away with saying that one. But the safety car is in this lap. Whilst we wait for the drivers to get around, Sullivan Lewis advises us that Jake spun. Mr. Lewis then slammed on the brakes but got punted into Jake and then lost a wheel. So it's as simple as that. Somebody hit risky, and that explains why Jake is so far down the order. But our interest, once we've covered the restart, will be on what Arnaud will be doing here. Home race, of course, for Mr. de Grief. So Matt Lester, if you keep your eye on him, I'll cover what happens at the front. Casper leads a train of 3 ERT cars, and then Kieran and Pete from Speed, and then the Speed Extradite of Danny Quinn, followed by Leroy Ben Harrett, fastest man in team speed, and then team speed's current champion in JACKOCAR. Let's go back to the front then. We'll go on board with Casper, who has led all 3 laps here, takes his season total to 5. What can the Finn do off the restart here as the rain looks as though it's starting to get a little bit heavier? Don't pit, because that would count as non-mandatory. Here goes Casper any time from now, and he can get this race back underway. And there he goes as he struggles in the rain. We've got pitters further back. Note that one down. MK Bourne, that is a non-mandatory stop. As we see the cars file through turn 1, is there anything happening? There's a few slides here and there, but there's yellow flags as well. Danny Quinn drops back to P7 and gets into the back of Leroy. These guys are struggling. Let's go on board with Arnaud. Yellow flags. I think I've just missed a crash. I have. It's a certain Matt Shepherd in the wall. Arnaud making up 3 positions so far. But yes, also MK Bourne went on to soft, so that was not the correct thing to do. I imagine he will have to come back in and serve a mandatory to put Inters on very soon. Back to the front, Casper leads from Khalifa and Corey, who lost out, who was P2 on the restart, you may remember. Pete Knighton has overtaken his teammate Kieran Spears, and Ben Shaw, the reigning champion, is starting to make moves in P7, but don't forget this rain is playing a factor.
Playing a big factor. Mr. Arnold himself is all over the back of Jake, having a look. This moves up the front as well ahead. Here he goes round the outside. Is he going to go for another one round Michelle? Not quite, but he's going to stick his nose up the inside. There he goes. See you later, Michelle. Yuri, get out
wow.
of the way.
Wow.
Here comes Arnold.
What a driver. What an inspired decision on those tyres. More yellow flags for a spinning Matt Shepherd. We're not going to go to it. We're actually going to stay with Arnaud. Are we going to get some pitters? Yes, we are. Casper, Khalifa, Corey, Pete Knighton, they're all in. So who leads the lap? I think it's going to be Casper.
Arnoud.
No, it is.
Oh, it's Casper.
It is indeed Casper. So just so I don't have to watch the race back, as I said to Jess last week, and they're all on to Inters. But what an inspired decision from Arnaud de Grief. Last week's race winner. Don't forget he went all of last season without winning a race. And now he's put himself in the box seat to win 2 in a row. The opening 2 of season 9. And by the way, that has never been done. Nobody has ever won the first 2 races of a Cup Series season.
Records are made to be broken. As Khalifa is looking at the back of Casper, those two going along nicely. There's a bit of ding dong further back as Leroy's looking at Kieran, a one-time champion, but no luck getting past there.
Not my champion. It is the day that Ben Shaw virtually had it wrapped up for 95% of that race, and then obviously it was rain, as it happened, the Florida rain that ruined his day, and it brought Corey and Kieran into play, and that's why we have to unfortunately say that Kieran is a champion in the Cup Series. Where is the nearest fight on track? It is actually Kieran versus Ben Shaw, just like it was in Miami Season 6.
I'd go a bit further back if I were you, as Jamie and Quinn. Jamie going up the inside of the former Kia driver, who's getting pushed along by Jake as well, who's looking to also get past the non-Kia champion. Round the outside, there's a bit of rumpy-pumpy, and off Jake goes, and off Gareth goes as well in that horrendous car, I must say once again.
Good respect there between Quinn and Gareth. He gave him enough room, and he took it, did Gareth, as Arnaud sets the fastest lap. The only thing that will hamper Arnaud as we lose Rico from this race, that is a safety car. I was just about to say, the only thing that will hamper Arnaud is obviously his tyres are that much older. Quinn will pit. But hopefully Arnaud, he manages to work it out because he hasn't yet made a mandatory stop. Quinn, however, this is a non-mandatory stop because, of course, he pitted for those inters just 1 lap ago.
Now, if Arnaud is smart here, he could potentially take the first stage point, which is lap 7, and get his first mandatory stop done. But thinking now, the pack will get backed up, so I don't think he'll be able to do both.
Yeah, it's going to have to be
the other.
Yeah, either or. Of course, Arnaud leads both championships. The first one is, of course, the points championship, and the second one is the playoff points, which is the postseason total that you take in to the, obviously, the postseason with you. Arnaud has 8, and a couple others have 2. Those playoff points are so valuable when the points get reset. What will Arnaud do here? He doesn't necessarily need the points, so perhaps pitting would be the better option for him.
Yeah, I'm sure Arnaud is a smart man, and I'm sure he'll just take the safe option here and get that first pit stop under his belt.
The only struggle that he will come up with is, of course, everybody else can still pit under safety car come the second portion of this race, which is going to be lap 18, 19, 20, 21 and 22. So it is going to be an absolute mess at the end, providing we don't lose all the safety car periods in the first place. But in comes Arnaud then. This, as you say, Matt Lester, is the correct move. He does lead lap 6, but he will lose that lead once again to Casper. So Casper will claim the lap 7 stage point. Of course, he's still got to drive around the thing first. But it will be a valuable point to Casper, who was last season the playoff point leader until he foolishly left the group chat, and it promoted Jake into a position where he was able to claim the most playoff points in the regular season. And speaking of Jake, he's now out of this race. And so is Yuri, and so is Michelle.
Red flag?
Red flag. Well, there you go. We didn't see that one coming, did we?
Well then, I don't know what just happened.
No, I'm assuming they crashed in the pit lane, but I'm sure we'll find out shortly.
There's going to be some unhappy bunnies in that chat. Boy, would I like to be a fly on the wall in there. Apologies for the third commentator, my cat, which, if
was that your cat? Was it?
Caused me to crash out in Miami last season. He's still alive, just.
Hold on, let's just catch up with the chat here. Free car pileup. Yuri, Michelle, and Jake are all dead. Well, I don't know why, but we're going to have a restart. It's now lap 9.
It's dry.
And it's dry. That's a shame. And, well, this is, I don't really know what to say, Matt. Casper leads out of turn 1, I guess. And, oh, what a shame. So perhaps the weather was just a phase, or just a passing phase. Arnaud, by the way, come out P2 and is about to take P1 off of Casper. This has worked out fantastically, hasn't it, for him?
Absolutely sublime.
Insane.
Belgium leads in Belgium.
Again. So we do have the difficult decision to make of whether to award Casper the stage point. I guess we do. We can't move the stage mid-race. I mean, he was leading lap 6 and he was leading at the start of lap 9. So yeah, I would say Casper has picked up the playoff point there. But it is now Arnaud that leads this race and hopefully can do something with it for his sake. Michelle leaves the session, who was one of those drivers involved in that crash, and yeah, interesting. Very weird, wasn't it? Because we didn't even know anything about that crash.
No, we're both pretty stumped here, and we usually have a lot to say.
I do have something to say. Sorry to interrupt. Gareth Hall eyeing up the back of his team speed teammate Ben Shaw. Will Gareth... Oh, there's contact on the outside with Jamie Griffiths. Gareth's focusing on the man in front rather than the man behind, and now has to defend. Puts a nose in, does he? And just makes a tiniest bit of contact with Ben Shaw, but they will get away with it. Gareth unhappy with Jamie Griffiths with the overspeed, the power of two cars in front giving him an extra bit of slipstream there. So of course, Gareth definitely aware of Jamie behind him now as he struggles on the exit of La Source. But it has allowed Ben Shaw to just break away. Arnaud's gap is just 0.3 of a second up front. In fact, Casper is going to get him back here into turn 4, is he? Or is he just going to wait? He is. Interesting.
Tactics at play here from Casper, but he's got Khalifa for company, so he's got to do what Gareth didn't and keep in mind of the man behind that is Khalifa.
Absolutely. And Corey has dropped back to P6, a red flag doing him no favours in his red car. Kieran, Ben and Gareth. Let's look back from on board the gold championship winning car of Ben Shaw. Gareth Hall much further away this time, but Ben makes a mistake there, as did Jamie Griffiths, which brings Leroy into play. And Gareth can smell a little bit of blood, a small wound perhaps on Ben Shaw's car. As we see Leroy go around and into the wall, that's going to be a safety car. You know it is. It's Spa. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Safety car deployed at Spa-Francorchamps for the third time this evening. Leroy out of this race. 13 remain. We still have 12 or 13 laps to go. What do the leaders do? I'm still...
We haven't
Go on, Matt.
The second stage, so no mandatory stops can be done here.
Yeah, stops can be made, but as Matt Lester tells you, no mandatory ones. Makes you wonder if those softs are going to go the distance. What does Arnaud and all the soft runners, Ben Harrett, Corey, Kieran, do they know that the softs can go that far?
And
to lap 18.
Jacko,
they can.
Can we confirm, that the red flag stops do not count as a mandatory?
Red flag stops count as mandatory, providing you have not already made a mandatory in that portion of the race. But everybody had. Now, Arnaud was already in the pit lane before the red flag happened. Thus, counts as a green flag stop.
Yes.
So Arnaud, in fact, all of them. Oh, was the safety car out?
No, he was in under the safety car because they crashed out under the safety car.
That's correct. Yes. So what it is Arnaud, when he makes the second mandatory stop, has to be under green flag. Everybody else can pit under safety car, but of course we're talking about a time which is quite a way away yet. We're talking lap 18 and beyond before we can talk about that. And it's only lap 11.
Wowee. So much more fun to come. And can I may add, I don't think we've sworn at all yet.
I did throw in a shit earlier.
Oh, you did? You did?
Yes.
I was going to throw in one because we've had 6 retirements in Cup Series on Spa. And that is pretty wank.
You know what? It's still less than a Kia Series race would have at this point.
Still. And the third safety car. So everyone watching, please drink, as Gareth would say.
What Gareth would also say is he'd start reeling off some abuse at some particular drivers because he hates the Kia Series bunch, doesn't he?
He does.
Matt Lester, I'm going to take this moment to read through the chat and see what we're missing in the YouTube party. Kyle Smith says, if Gareth is the league's best commentator, then my brilliance in the comms has gone up so unnoticed. A travesty, really. Anyways, up the Lewis. Of course, Lewis Hamilton is a red from 2025. I did read out how Sullivan Lewis left this race. Jess pointing out it's raining. Waze says it's unsurprising that Rico has binned it.
Culture.
Yeah. Waze running his mouth as usual. At least Rico is able to race here this evening. Jess also saying who got the stage point for lap 7. I am aware that Jess is in a party with Casper. You can confirm to Casper he was leading at the time of the red flag. Therefore, the stage point for lap 7 goes to Casper Klein of Finland. And also, what else? Jess here says everyone has a safety car stop in hand, apart from Arnold. You are correct. So that's the update with the YouTube chat.
Yeah, Jess, that last comment of Kia had to put it on reduced safety cars. There's just no need to put that information out there publicly. Let's not out ourselves. We are very good drivers. Some of us, probably about a quarter of us.
You know what? I think a quarter is the number you're looking for. Yeah, me, you, Dan, who's new, Matt Shep. I'll give him his credit, and that's it really. I mean, Robin has his days, doesn't he? I guess.
Yeah, Jess, she has her days.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be nice.
Every woman does. And it's begun. Lap 12. We got as far as lap 12. There you go. Anyway, the reason why Yori crashed out is because he had a raindrop in the middle of the screen, so couldn't see Jake's dead car. I have had that before. The raindrop right in the middle of the T-cam. That is a good one to have.
That's a great excuse. I should use that more often.
Yeah. Yori's been around a while, so he knows how to reel off the excuses.
Yes, I hope Yuri has this in mind when he returns to commentary for Kia Series alongside Gareth, which starts shortly. But
it is next week, isn't
shortly,
it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it?
It is
not in my calendar. It's just not
and
that
it's
important for me right now until we get to the playoffs.
It's Monaco as well.
Oh.
That'll shut you up, innit?
Anyway, we're going back to green here in Spa.
Do you know what, Matt Lester? I've known you long enough now that I could trust you to call a restart. Would you like to?
Oh, I can call a restart. Of course I can.
Go on. You do that. I will.
I'll take everyone through who is watching.
What you commentate on, I will put the camera to. It's all you.
It's all me. I'm on Arnold, who is ready to go. And there he does, lighting up the track. He is away. Casper under pressure straight away from the start. But no challengers coming a bit further back. Ben Harriet and Corey going side by side. It's Mr. Buzz Lightyear car versus Lewis Hamilton fanboy himself. And Corey gets ahead of Buzz. Well done, good move, making moves early on, and he wants to make another one as he's up the back of Speed Knighton, looking to go up the inside. And he successfully makes the move. Corey, brilliant start up to P4, and that's your restart.
Thank you very much for that, Matt Lester. I'll take it from here. The reason why Corey got such a good run up the Eau Rouge and Radion there is Ben Harriet lifted on entry. Those of you watching my stream, you will have seen and heard that as the champion gets a penalty. It allowed Kieran to get involved in a fight with Ben Harriet, but didn't have enough on the inside or on the outside of Ben Harriet. That's why Ben has retained that position. And we have yellow flags once again for a spinning Matt Shep, who's got further this week than he did last week. Filling in for the Cup drivers who can't be here. Pete Knighton, as you correctly pointed out, has been passed by Corey, and it has allowed Ben Harriet to close the gap as he has managed to drop Kieran over the second half of this lap. Two hard runners, by the way. It's Mike Kelterborn and Matt Shepherd. Not quite sure why they're on those, but maybe they know something we don't. As we see Casper and Arnaud fighting in the final corner. Who's going to lead lap 13? And at the moment, Arnaud de Grief gets it. Another lap led for last week's race winner, but now Casper, he wants to lead this race. And through he goes into turn one. Khalifa on the outside of Arnaud. The ERT boys filling the front 4 spots this week as we are now well over halfway into this Belgian Grand Prix. Round 2 of the Cup Series brought to you by Premier Inn, supported, of course, by Kia and Tesco. But can Arnaud get a run on Casper? The gap is not really closing, so maybe it's time for Casper to lead for a little bit longer. Remember, at the end of lap 17, so lap 18 onwards, we will see our second mandatory stops. If the guys can keep it this close, then we are in for a brilliant little scrap at the very end.
We might be in for another little scrap very shortly. As Pete Knighton's actually coming back towards Corey. Come a little bit away through the last few turns, but there's a nice little train forming in the middle from Corey all the way down to Gareth Hall in P9.
Yeah, and by the way, Khalifa has closed the gap right up to Arnaud. As we go on board with the man from Bahrain. I don't even know if Bahrain is in this season's calendar, probably not, knowing me. But of course, a track that Khalifa would love to win at, but he'd love to win anywhere. As he goes through on Arnaud, I think he just got out the front one, let that one happen. Khalifa, Casper and Arnaud are all looking very fast, but Arnaud the slowest of the 3 at the moment, and that's job done for Khalifa. 2/3 of this race complete. Casper will lead another lap. We'll go back to the battle with Corey and Pete and Ben Harrop, and Kieran and Ben Shaw all involved. Gareth Hall was there as well. On to lap 15 they go. DRS enabled for the first time, would you believe, in this race. Lap 15, no less. And what's happening further back? Mike on the back of Jamie Griffiths. Out of turn 1 they come. There's Quinn and there's Matt Shep bringing up the rear. And back to the front. That gap is 0.3 of a second, but not for much longer as El Khalifa takes the lead in Belgium. And Pete gets through on Corey Dalton.
And Mike further back on Jamie as well, as these 3 back here look to try and get back with the pack, but it's very tight in the middle. Would I be rude in saying champion? As we
it's Pete Knighton.
It's Pete Knighton. Hero. Gareth, severe collision with Mr. Knighton. That is disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself.
So it looks like it's going to be Kieran's fault then. And Matt Shepherd, after all, that was the only driver not to get through on Pete. But what a shame for Pete Knighton. Another good run he was having, and he's shafted all the way to the back. The back being P12 and P13. And I think this VSC has come just a little too early for these guys. But I also believe that may well be that, Matt Lester, because we've had 3 safety cars, a red flag, and now a VSC. I think that is job done for whomever drives a safety car. I mean, some would say Bernd Mailander, but this is JACKOCAR. So the driver of that car is unknown. Khalifa leads lap 15.
Would I be rude in saying that Ben Shaw is a little bit rusty upon his return to JACKOCAR action?
It would appear that way. But something about Ben Shaw, as he gets very close to the back of his namesake, is he doesn't like the tracks that I do like. And I like it here. Look at that, what's happening ahead of him though. Ben versus Kieran. And they caught each other out. This is going to be an absolute gift for Ben Shaw. He goes to the left. He went to the right to win the championship, but he's going to go to the left to claim 2 positions into turn 4. He goes. The champion making a champion's move. Puts him in the top 5 for the first time this evening. Good move done as Kieran and Ben Harrop were mucking about. Gareth got a good view of that down in P8 as well. And Corey now all on his own in P4 now that there's no Pete Knighton to fight. As for the front 3, they are very much unchained. That sounds like a Katy Perry song, isn't it? I've forgotten what I was saying now. But anyway, Khalifa leads in Belgium. I said Katy Perry and then got all distracted, look.
Yeah.
Easy done.
I heard change and I got a bit flustered there.
Yeah.
Also, this fighting on track is getting me flustered. Kieran's all over the back of Ben
Is
Shaw. He's not letting him get away with that double overtake. He is not happy in that car.
They were able to drop Ben Harrett, but you'd like to think this fight is going to bring young Ben back into it. But let's see what Kieran can do first. He certainly has the overspeed. Little lift through the left-hander there, and another one. Oh, Jesus! Oh, now that surely wasn't a brake check. That must have been some sort of internet issue. Ben Shaw knows better than to... Oh, Kieran has a moment, and it brings Ben Harrett back into play. Here he comes then down into turn one. Can Ben Harrett make the move and make it stick this time around? Kieran breaks late. Ben Harrett up the inside. Can he get the traction down? They make contact, but through goes Ben Harrett. But Kieran is going to stick his nose in there, is he? And try and keep this battle up the hill. No, he won't. He thinks better of it. And Ben Harrett is back up into P6. Fantastic bit of racing there. But Kieran, he is not done as they both catch up to Ben Shaw. This time DRS wide open. Left and right, pick your move. They're going to do... Oh, what was that moment from the 1999 race? Or was it 2001? I can't remember, where they went side by side. Hakkinen and Schumacher. I can't remember. Look, there's yellow flags out. Gareth in the wall. That's not a sight you see very often. Of course, this proves the point. There are no safety cars left. He'll drop all the way to the back of the field. Does the fastest man in team speed. Meanwhile, at the front, Khalifa leads from Casper by half a second. Arnaud has also closed that gap. Top three covered by less than a second now. Corey has been dropped, and Ben Harrett and Ben Shaw and Kieran Spears are all still fighting, bringing Quinn down in P8 into this fight.
Getting hairy out there. And Khalifa, remember, this is the second stage, so he is about to take, within about 2 turns, the playoff point, stage point.
Yeah, and it does mean from the next lap onwards... Arnaud pits, by the way. That's 1 lap too early, Arnaud.
Oh,
that's silly.
You silly
and
boy.
Corey. Corey's followed him in. They've made a grave error there. They're going to have to pit again.
They're out. They're out of this one.
Yep.
Khalifa and Casper.
Jamie Griffiths has done the same. Can you write these names down for us, Matt Lester? Whilst you do that, I'm going to focus on the battle up the hill. Let's go on board with Ben Shaw, who now runs P5. Kieran, the closer to Ben Harrett than what is Ben Shaw is to him. Eau Rouge, then Radion, and you know what comes next? Massive overspeed. Kieran, will he go left or right? What will Ben Harrett do? What will Ben Shaw think of this? He is going to look towards the middle. In fact, the middle's the only place where there's any room going, but he has to back out of it as Ben Harrett loses a position to Kieran, and I'm sure we're going to see this all over again in the coming laps. It is now lap 18. Drivers can make their second mandatory stops from this point onwards. I can't believe, though, the likes of Arnaud and Corey have thrown away fantastic positions. They'll be kicking themselves, and they should know better because they all share a party. So we stay on board with Ben Shaw, and of course Ben and Kieran have inherited now guaranteed top 5 finishes, provided they can stay on track here. They do find themselves 13 seconds behind Casper, mind you. And look at this. Ben Shaw up the inside of Ben Harrett. That's a brave move if he makes it stick, but Ben Harrett gives him the room, and they retain their original positions. But Ben Shaw looking lively as Kieran escapes up the road. Quinn has found 2 seconds in a single lap, and Ben Shaw has a moment. It's going to bring Quinn into the top 5, is it? You know Quinn likes this track. He almost won a championship here last season. Just a few temps meant he missed out, but what can he do? This is certainly making his evening a lot more interesting, isn't it? Ben Shaw all over the road between the sector 2 and 3 split, and he's not going to go for a move into the bus stop. He's going to wait his turn, but we are going to get pitters this time. Quinn is one of them. Ben Harrett and Kieran also.
Khalifa and Casper and Ben Shaw all stay out. Could be big, but Khalifa and Casper have a massive gap between themselves and the rest of the field. It's going to be between these 2 men, and here comes Casper, going to get the mind games going early doors as he retakes the lead, and Khalifa stays right on the rear of that lovely car.
And of course these two know that there's not going to be any more safety car interferences, because like we've used up our allocation, so This is the battle for the race win. Arnaud is back up to P3, but of course he will not stay there. He has to make another stop. He went 1 lap too early, as did Corey, as did Jamie Griffiths, who has now made his second mandatory stop so late on. Gareth as well, making another front wing change. It's not been his day for the 89 car, but keep your eyes on Arnaud and Corey. Make sure they do make that extra stop. But it is a gift for the man that you said was a little bit rusty, perhaps, the champion coming into this race. But Ben Shaw eyeing up a podium, because his rivals in this race, Quinn, Ben, Harrott and Kieran, have all pitted. So they may have the overcut. But of course, Ben, when he pits, will have the fresher tyre advantage. But here goes Khalifa. He's going to lead another lap then. He's going to leave it as late as possible with Jean Khalifa, but he certainly looks like he's going to be on for the win, either him or Casper. And it's all starting to kick off once again here in JACKOCAR.
Arnaud stays out again. Ben Shaw comes in. Mike, will he come in? No, he doesn't. He still needs to pit. Corey is now being chased down by Kieran. He also stays out, so we've still got 4 cars left to pit in Khalifa, Arnaud, Mike and Corey.
Tell you what, this has worked out really well for Kieran, because look how far clear he is of Ben Shaw, who's going to have to absolutely go some. Ben Harrott, he will be fighting on exit. Of course, Kieran did have a bit of a lead before they all pitted, didn't they? But certainly going later has helped Ben Shaw, but he has lost out to Danny Quinn. He won't like that. Former teammate of his, Danny Quinn, at the moment eyeing up what would be a P4 finish once all the pit stops are complete. And Arnaud is closing that gap to Khalifa. He's found 3 seconds, but don't forget, it's not what he needs to be doing. He needs to be making another stop. He has ruined this race for himself. Another chance of victory gone from him here in Belgium. And it's just...
butt in.
Please.
Khalifa and Arnaud, are they not on their jokers?
You make a very valid point. Khalifa is on a joker. Arnaud is not.
Oh.
The other joker was Michel Goris, who retired earlier on this evening in that 3-car pile-up in what I believe to be the pit lane. So Khalifa is on his way to 10 playoff points.
Wow.
That's job done.
Comfortable as you like. Comfortable Khalifa. There's your headline. Big gap. Arnaud still to pit. Casper 15 seconds behind.
Comfortable with a K when you refer to comfortable Khalifa, but that's absolutely the case. This no practice malarkey has worked wonders for the ERT boys. Arnaud come in last week and dominated Portugal, and we've seen quite the showing this week from Khalifa. 1.5 laps to go. Casper will definitely get a podium. And I'm not sure what Mike Kelterborn is doing just yet. Obviously, he needs to make some sort of stop, doesn't he? As does Corey, as does Arnaud. And look at this, Kieran all over Corey. And there goes Kieran. I'm sure Corey won't come back at him, will he? No. That's job done. As Ben Shaw does eventually get past Danny Quinn. Matt Lester, have you died?
I have not died. I'm
Good.
here watching, waiting,
taking it all in.
And I'm taking it all in. It's very, very emotional. But Arnaud and Mike, they need to pit, otherwise disqualification.
Yeah, unless... No, we haven't messed it up, have we? Surely not. No.
Messed up? Don't be silly, Jacko.
Something I never mess up is this call. It's 1 lap to go, not sponsored by Credit One Bank. It's Khalifa who leads the way here in Belgium on his joker. We've only ever had 10 joker wins in the Cup Series in the past in 134 attempts. This would be number 11 in race 135. It would also be Khalifa's, how many wins has he had? It would be number 15, closing in on the record held by Jamie Wright, which is currently 19. Also, Khalifa would dearly love another championship, wouldn't he? But can he get it round one more lap? Not even one more, just 2/3 of a lap. Arnaud has missed his window to pit. He's going to be disqualified. And as me and Matt Lester referred to earlier, we can't have messed up. Arnaud has messed up, along with Corey, along with Mike Kelterborn. Expect Casper Klein to inherit P2. Expect Kieran to inherit P3 unless he has an issue with Corey. He won't know that. Ben Shaw and Danny Quinn still fighting. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. Ben Harrett sadly dropped away out of the picture. And Pete Knighton, who was in the running in the top 4 earlier, only down as much as P10. He should make up a couple of positions with the disqualifications to come. Well done, Matt Shepherd, getting to the end of the race this season, this week. But let's go on board then with Khalifa El Khalifa for a couple more turns. The Bahraini International. Another fantastic job, another job well done. What a man. And starting the season not in the fashion he would have wanted last week, but certainly making up for it this week. Khalifa wins in Belgium. It's number 15 in the Cup Series, and he's done it on his Joker. Fantastic performance from him. And then, of course, VAR will have a look at this one. Arnaud de Grief. He lets Casper go through, but it won't really matter. That's a disqualification in my eyes. The same with the German here. But we will have to check. Corey Dalton fighting Kieran to the end. Another one that we're going to have to check. They went one lap too early on the second mandatory stop. Kieran 6. It will become P5. And then, of course, Ben Shaw getting the better of Danny Quinn. That's a top 5 finish, if I'm not mistaken. Ben Harrett, Pete Knighton, Matt Shepherd, of course, Mr. Gareth Hall and Jamie Griffiths we're going to have to wait for. That will conclude tonight's race. And this is going to take forever. Your thoughts, Matt Lester, whilst we wait?
Well, I was just making sure we made no mistakes, and well, why would we? MK, Mike pitting on lap 15, Arnaud and Corey lap 17, so that is 3 disqualifications at the end of this race.
It's already been discussed in the stewarding chat. Corey, Arnaud and Mike Kelterborn all 1 lap too early. Disqualifications.
Big disqualifications, big results for the rest of the field that have made it to the end of this one, as we see Khalifa rise into the air as he takes his first victory of the season. I'm sure he'll be back on that top step at some point. The flying Bahrainian.
Yeah, you eventually run out of good things to say about Khalifa, don't you? Because there's just so many good things to say. He started on the front row. He finished on the top step. It is another win for Khalifa here in the Cup Series. 15 from 54 starts, I stand corrected. Casper P2, ignore Arnaud, ignore Mike, ignore Corey. They are disqualifications. Kieran will be there on the podium in P3. P4 is Ben Shaw. 5th is Danny Quinn. Fantastic result here in his second race back in the Cup Series. Then it's Ben Harrett, and then it's Pete Knighton and Matt Shepherd and Gareth, and I believe it makes Jamie Griffiths the last in P10. So only 10 finishers here this evening in Spa. But it was certainly an interesting race, wasn't it? Here's all your guys that didn't finish, by the way. Leroy, Yori, Michelle, Jake, Rico, and Mr. Sullivan Lewis. No Michael OKK because he was late back from work. Other than that, that was a job well done. It had it all. Red flag, rain, disqualifications, Joker win. We don't get many of them. Like I said, Matt Lester, only 11 in the past. Only 10 in the past, now 11.
It goes up. But I have to say, that many finishers in Cup should be ashamed of themselves, really. Should really take a long, hard look in the mirror after that tonight. I expected better. I will always expect better, because I'm from Kia and I take a lot of stick being in with yourself, Jacko and the rest. So I will dish it out as well, and that was rubbish. So please do better next week.
Thank you very much, Matt Lester. One thing we do have to say, that with his P5 finish, Ben Shaw becomes the all-time points leader in the JACKOCAR Cup Series. He leads Jamie Wright by a single point. Of course, Jamie Wright not here to defend himself, but it doesn't matter. The stats never lie. Ben Shaw, you see it there. Ben Shaw won, and Ben Shaw is number one when it comes to points. But P5 on the track tonight. A final congratulations to Khalifa El Khalifa on his victory, and the Casper and Kieran on their podiums. We'll be back next week for another track. I can't say where, because obviously it's a mystery calendar. You'll just have to tune in. And anything else to add, Matt? No, probably not. You're not that interested. So, yeah. Good night. Goodbye.